They called him Ghost because he was quiet. He didn't stand out, and after everything he'd been through, it was easy to see why. Years of neglect and bad luck had taken their toll. But sometimes the horses that have been through the most are the ones with the most to give. Dew's Farm wasn't a place horses would go to thrive. It was a dumping ground, a place where animals that no one else wanted ended up. Here, they weren't seen as living beings. Instead, they were commodities worked to exhaustion for the little income they could bring in. There weren't enough stalls, so they packed as many as they could into what little space they had. The stalls were rarely cleaned, and fresh bedding was a luxury. Water buckets were often bone dry by midday, and feed was rationed to make it stretch. Our sweet Ghost was one of those unfortunate horses, but he wasn't a troublemaker. He simply did his job, which was to carry anyone who paid for a ride. It didn't matter if the tack was ill-fitting, if he'd already gone on 5 other trail rides that day, or if he was hungry and sore. He just kept going tirelessly. Day after day, he was asked to give way more than he had. And when he wasn't working, he was tied up or crammed into a stall. There was no rest, no relief. And yet, that wasn't the worst of it. Storms at Dew's Farm were more than bad weather. They were a reminder of how little the place was prepared for anything beyond the bare minimum. That day, the storm tested every beam and nail holding it together. Workers rushed to save what they could. Ghost was an afterthought. Oh, shoot. Whoa. Hey boss, that old plank from the barn flew right into this one's eye. It's just a scratch. Just rub some ointment on it when you get the chance after the storm. We've got bigger problems to deal with. Okay. Sorry, bud. That scratch cost Ghost his sight. No one tended to the wound. Days turned into weeks, and by the time anyone noticed, it was way too late. The damage was done, and Ghost's world had grown a little darker. But all bad things must come to an end eventually. Tonight, a story of animal neglect is making headlines across Jorvik. Dew's Farm, once considered a modest trail riding operation, is now at the center of a shocking investigation. I'm standing outside what locals are now calling the unfortunate Dew's Farm, a site that authorities describe as one of the worst cases of horse neglect in recent memory. The farm, which advertised itself as a budget-friendly trail riding experience, has been exposed for housing over 40 horses in dangerous and unsanitary conditions. Many of the horses here are malnourished with severe injuries that have gone untreated. These animals are in desperate need of care. I tried to tell them, the owner just didn't care. It was all about making money.
This world, it's so unkind.
Ghost was just another name on a long list of horses in one of the biggest neglect cases on the island. Dew's Farm was finally shut down, but for horses like Ghost, it was not the end of their troubles. He wasn't whisked off to a fairy tale ending. He was just sent to the next place. A new owner, a new job, but the same uncertainty. Still, Starshine Ranch was different. They had taken him in as a project in hopes to make him a barrel racing horse. Here the horses were fed well, their stalls were clean, and their tack fit. But for Ghost, it wasn't enough still. He didn't only need better conditions, he needed someone to care for him, to believe in him.
Come on, here. I've been working with this horse for weeks, and he hasn't picked up speed, and he continues to dive into the barrels. I'll tell you what, this horse is so stubborn.
Years of being ignored had taught Ghost that riders weren't worth listening to. At Starshine Ranch, he was just another safe, steady horse. Somewhat useful, but invisible. And when they realized that that was all he was for them, not their next up-and-coming barrel racer, they decided to sell him. I had been searching for weeks. My lesson program was expanding faster than I'd ever anticipated, and I needed horses. Steady, reliable, and let's face it, affordable. Most of the listings I found were either way out of my price range, or for horses that were far from suitable for the kind of work I needed. And then I saw him. The description was vague, but something about that photo stopped me. He looked gentle, worn maybe, but not broken. The price was reasonable, and I thought, why not? He might be worth a look.
Hi there, it's Molly Riversea from the Cosmic Equestrian Center. I just saw your ad in the Gazette about your horse for sale, Ghost, and I'm interested in taking him on a trial ride. I'm available this weekend, so just call me back.
Hey there, sweet guy. Well, what's your story, huh? I'd come looking for a lesson horse. Something reliable, safe, and easy to handle. Although he would need time, I had a feeling that he could become all that and more with some training. So, I went for it. Good luck with him. He's a good one deep down, just needs someone who will stick with him. I didn't know what Ghost's story was yet. All I knew is that we were beginning ours. And with that, we finally made it to his new home at the Cosmic Equestrian Center. Felt like a fresh start, but a horse doesn't just forget years of neglect because he's been given a new pasture and a cozy stall. Nonetheless, for the first time in what might have been years, Ghost had space to just be a horse. But old habits don't disappear overnight. He did not rush to join the herd. He didn't trot off to explore. He just kind of stood there watching from a distance. He was cautious, careful, and maybe just a little unsure of how to be part of a group again. Within the coming weeks, I started him under saddle, and I soon realized that ghost blindness wasn't just a physical limitation. It changed the way he navigated the world. He didn't trust what he couldn't see, and he didn't trust me yet either, so building that connection was going to take time. And even though there were still things to work through, I figured he was steady enough, so I put him in the lesson program to give the kids a learning curve. Molly, he won't stay on the rail. I'm trying everything. Keep steady pressure with your inside leg. Remember, he can't see that side, so you have to help guide him. Take it slow. He'll get there. That horse is a liability. Blind on one side, sway back. What was she thinking bringing him into a lesson program? Exactly. The students are frustrated, and honestly, I can't blame them. He's not safe for this kind of work. She's got a good reputation, but one bad accident with that horse, and it is over. I heard every word, and they weren't entirely wrong. Ghost wasn't like the other lesson horses. Steady, reliable, predictable. The doubts weren't just coming from other trainers and parents. Sometimes they crept into my own mind. He needed more, and I wasn't sure if I could give it to him fast enough to prove he belonged here. Nice, Danielle. Keep your hands nice and soft, and remember to use your seat for transitions. Okay, let's ask for a canter when you're ready. Whoa, Ghost. Are you okay? Talk to me. Yeah, I'm fine. He just panicked at that deer. I didn't see it coming. Hey, easy, Ghost. Good boy. You did a great job riding him. He just needs more time. That day, I told Danielle she did not have to ride Ghost again, that she could switch to a different horse. But she refused. She said she wanted to help, not just give up. So she did something no one else had thought to do. She just sat with him. Trust isn't just built in the saddle. It's built in moments like these. Danielle gave Ghost something no one else had, the choice to come closer. Good boy. See, I'm not that bad. Trail rides were supposed to be simple, an easy day to let the horses stretch their legs and the students relax. But for Ghost, simplicity wasn't always a given. Out here, away from the arena structure, his blind side could be more of a challenge, or in this case, an opportunity. Easy. My horse does not want to go anywhere near that log. Well, what do we do now? Should we turn back? Let's just take a moment, let the horses settle. I'll check if there's a way around. What do you think, Ghost? Want to show him how it's done? Good boy. He's just so sure of himself out here. I have to say, I'm impressed. All right, guys, let's follow Danielle. Not every horse is built for the arena. Some are better out on the trails where the world isn't boxed in and they can think for themselves. So that very week, Danielle convinced me to sign them up for a competitive trail event in the rough and tumble Wildwoods. Competitive trail riding isn't about speed or ribbons. It's about the partnership between horse and rider. The goal is simple: navigate a challenging course that mimics real-world trail conditions. It's the perfect mix of calm and challenge. The course was about 10 miles long, winding through Wildwoods. The duo would have to tackle steep climbs, tricky footing, and even some unexpected surprises. Danielle and Ghost didn't have to be perfect. They just had to finish. So they started off their long ride. The first section of the trail ride was just about settling in, finding their rhythm, and building trust. Out here, he wasn't second-guessing himself. He was just thinking, solving, and leading. Danielle never pushed him. She was always patient with him and let him assess the situation before moving forward. One of the many challenges they encountered were the water crossings. The sound, the movement, it spooked even the most seasoned horses. But Ghost had always been sure-footed, even when the terrain got tricky. He usually met these crossings with a moment of curiosity and then proudly trotted on through them. Every obstacle they crossed felt like a small victory, building their confidence with each challenge. The next challenge was a rocky bridge going up a steep incline. It was the kind of terrain that tested not only a horse's agility, but their trust in their rider. Ghost hesitated for a moment, as if he was weighing his options. Then, with some quiet encouragement and steady hands, he took his first careful step forward. Each movement was deliberate, his hooves finding the safest path through the rubble. And soon enough, they both crossed the stony bridge like absolute champs. The final stretch of the trail was supposed to be straightforward, a chance to catch your breath after the challenges. But that is not quite what Ghost and Danielle got. As they rounded the final bend, there was a crackling in the bush that made Ghost pause. And suddenly, this huge grizzly bear ambled out of the bushes. They completely froze, not at all knowing what to do in this situation. After a moment or two, they realized that it wasn't aggressive, just curious. But the sight was enough to send a ripple of unease through Ghost. The bear stopped to sniff the air, very unfazed by the growing chaos. Danielle just made sure to keep her rein steady and voice low, ready for anything. And eventually, once the bear went out of their path, she urged Ghost forward. That moment was more than bravery, it was trust. And in that moment, he showed us all that courage isn't about ignoring fear, it's about moving forward despite it. It was Danielle who took Ghost's journey one step further. And after their competitive trail challenge, Danielle approached me with a question. Could she lease Ghost? She didn't want a flashy jumper or a perfectly polished horse. She wanted Ghost. I think back to where Ghost started, and it's hard to believe he's the same horse. That timid horse I brought home is now tackling the trails, leading lessons, and even helping Danielle grow as a rider. He isn't the horse who keeps to himself. He's really found his place, not just in the herd, but here at the Cosmic Equestrian Center. He started as the horse no one wanted, but now he is exactly where he belongs. That is a wrap on Ghost's journey. I feel like this horse just had such a story to tell, and I'm really excited that I got to share it with you all. So I hope you all enjoyed. Subscribe to be a part of our little barn family here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone!